Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Women of Golf Show. I'm Ted Odorico, and joining me is LPGA professional Cindy Miller, and we are your hosts. We're broadcasting live every Tuesday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern here on the blogtalkradio.com network, bringing you some of the best golfers, teacher professionals, and entrepreneurs helping to elevate women's golf. We're so glad you decided to join us this morning, so grab your coffee and let's get started. All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Season 7 here on the Women of Golf Show. I'm Ted Odorico, and as always, joining alongside is my good friend and co-host, LPGA professional Cindy Miller, and we are your hosts here on the Women of Golf Show. Good morning, Cindy.
Good morning, Ted. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. This is, of course, our first broadcast of the 2020 season. And I'm super excited for a couple of reasons. Always nice to be back on air, Cindy. But as we were just telling our very special guest this morning, you and I, if you recall, if we dial it back to late last season, in fact, our last show, we reminded everybody that you and I had actually, after 6 seasons, had never met. So we said we were on a mission, and we both attend. Yeah, exactly. We both attended the PGA merchandise show just a few weeks ago, and for the very first time, we actually have met face to face. So hopefully, I didn't disappoint. I know you didn't. So it was very an honor to meet you, and I should also add your husband, Alan Miller, as well. And you guys are just the best.
Well, thank you. It was great to meet you, too. And we did pick each other out from afar. So
right.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm pretty easy to spot. I'm 6'4", so I kind of hover above a lot of the crowd. But it was great to actually finally meet, and I've followed you for quite some time, even prior to us doing the show here together. So I was very grateful to have that opportunity. I know there will be more opportunities in the future to do just that. But on that note, again, welcome everybody to Season 7 of the Women Golf. We're very, very excited for this season to be back on air, and we couldn't think of a better way than to start the season off with this special guest, and you'll understand why. Her name is Debbie Waitkus, and she is the speaker, author, consultant, and founder of Golf for Cause, which is a great organization. She is also the tournament director for the Marilyn Smith Scholarship Pro-Am, which is going to be coming out, which is actually going to be happening next month, and she'll tell us more about that. She's also the past president of Women in Golf Industry and co-founder of the National Women's Golf Alliance. Debbie innovatively helps organizations marry golf with their strategic objectives, or as she would say, turn golf into gold, and we're all about that. Her book, Get Your Golf On, is in its second edition and is available currently on Amazon, along with the EWGA's foundation book, Teeing Up for Success, which, of course, Debbie is a contributing author. So, Cindy, let's welcome our very special guest this morning, Debbie Waitkus.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Cindy. Good morning, Ted. And I just thought it was a hoot, Ted, when you told me that you had never met Cindy face to face. I beat you to one thing.
Well, we were on a mission. Obviously, we had a lot of things going on that week, and meetings and appointments and things like that. But I said, Cindy, we have to make a point of meeting. People are going to say, well, that's a little bit odd. In fact, it was funny because Allison Kurt, who I think we all know, I actually had never met. In fact, most of the people that have been on the show, I had not met many of them in person before. And as I was heading out the hall one of the days, Allison was standing there near the stage, and of course I recognized her right away. And so I was sharing the story that Cindy and I had not met, and I mean, her jaw couldn't have hit the floor faster. She says, "You got to be kidding me." She says, "You guys, you would think you're old buddies the way you talk on air and so forth." And I said, "No." I said, "Just like you." I said, "I'd never met before." And so she found it very, very puzzling, but very interesting story. So anyways, we have now officially met, and as I mentioned, we've met Alan as well. So I was very, very excited to meet both of them. Cindy, if you don't mind, I'm going to start off real quick here, and then I'll hand it back over to you.
Absolutely, go for it.
yeah, Debbie, let's before we talk about the tournament, because we got lots of time this morning. Explain a little bit of who Marilyn Smith was.
Oh, goodness. Marilyn was obviously she's a co-founder of the LPGA to start with, and she played competitively when she was in high school and in college. She was the Kansas State Amateur Champion from 1946 and 1948, and she was a leader, inspirational. She was a visionary. She never took no for an answer. She has a lot of firsts in addition to being a founder of the LPGA. She was the first woman to be a broadcaster for a men's tournament. She was the visionary and first person to put together a women's champions tour event or a senior tour event. She was a leader in everything that she did, and so gracious and caring. She had a sense of inquisitiveness that I think really, it was so endearing to endearing herself to others, where boy, Cindy, you could attest to this. She'd talk with you and you'd feel like you were her best friend, and that you were
absolutely
even a better friend than the next person was. She understood everything. She I'm sure asked you about Alan all the time, and asked you about how your teaching was going, and where you got that gorgeous shirt you were wearing. And my experience with her is that we chatted and we had this conversation as though we were sitting around the morning table having coffee, and it just never stopped. And she just lifted everyone up with whom she touched. And that could have been a friend, it could have been a fan who was gallerying at a tournament, or even a volunteer. And it certainly was all the members of the LPGA, including the commissioner, and myself. She was a gift, a true gift.
Yeah, she certainly was. And of course, we had Marilyn with you, I believe it was 2 years ago, on the show together, talking about her Pro-Am tournament. And regrettably, of course, and for those of you tuning in that maybe aren't aware, of course, we lost Marilyn a little while back, and she certainly is missed by so many. Let me ask you something. You mentioned obviously she was a competitor and did so many other things, and obviously had a lot of firsts that she helped spearhead. What do you think that she would, if she was to reflect, would she be, I don't want to say most proud of, but what do you think she would equate her legacy to? What do you think she would want to be most remembered for?
A few things jump out for me, Ted, and one is the creation of the tour and the teaching division with the LPGA. I think that her scholarship fund to her was huge, and here's another first. She experienced discrimination, gender discrimination, when she went to the University of Kansas and wanted to play in the intercollegiate golf tournament. This is in 1949, okay? And there was no money for her because she wasn't a boy. And so in 1999, she established a scholarship fund to help girls to go to college, girls who played golf to go to college. And it wasn't for that they should become tour players, but she recognized the gift that golf brings to people, with the ability to travel and connect with others, and just having golf in your toolbox, whether it's for business, for personal or professional, it's the way that it can enrich your life. And so that scholarship to actually get the girls to college, so they have a community, a sisterhood of friends whom they're going to play with, because all of them had to be on the golf team at least for the freshman year, and that still goes to this day. That that they would always have golf as an anchor in their lives. So I think that would be part of her legacy as well. But I also think of her values, and I have this thing on my desk. I got to pull it back out here. She sent. I keep uncovering things. It's amazing. She wrote letters voraciously, and my husband actually tossed this over to my side of the office. He said, "I think this one's for you," and it was actually for my son, and it was written 10 years ago for his 15th birthday, and it is a letter that includes principles that she feels are important to life. And she talks about doing your best and honesty and being happy and patience and your parents and, being comfortable and talking with them and find something special to you and the golden rule. And she closes by saying, remember to always be the best person you can be. Be thankful for what you have, family, friends, God, and teachers. And this is her legacy, because it wasn't always related to golf. She truly left this world a better place than she found it. She inspired everybody she touched.
Yeah, I would agree wholeheartedly. And, the thing that I really noticed too is that she was very, very humble, obviously very wise and very knowledgeable about a lot of things. But she was very humble as well. She wasn't somebody that, that necessarily bragged about herself or, boasted about herself. She was very, obviously she's had a lot of accomplishments over her life, but, she spoke and from a humble point, if I guess is the way I would put it. And that really says a lot about her character and her values. Cindy, go ahead. I know you've got some questions you'd like to ask as well.
I think the number one word that you would maybe use, if there were three words, one of the top three would be selfless. Mm-hmm. So my question to you is, what did she do for fun for herself?
All right, so I can't speak to that for her whole life. I only had her the last 10. We're golfers. We want more, right? But, in the time that I knew her, I think her dog Benny lit up her life. I think that her connection with the girls was fun for her. She loved going to her favorite restaurant, Bella Luna in Goodyear. And going with other people. I think that connection with people was important to her. She loved sports. Baseball was her favorite. So watching sports, checking the box scores, and, I think even taking pictures and going to Walgreens and having all those prints made and mailing them to people was part of her joy as well. Keeping the post office in business. They're struggling. Their price of stamps has just gone up. So
That's great.
Wow.
That's great. She, what? Her smile just lit up the whole room.
Mhm. You bet.
And she
Absolutely.
truly, you felt like you were the most important person in the world to her.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what a gift! What a gift!
And something we can all. I think something we can all take away and help others experience that too. A good lesson for all of us.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, and it's interesting, Cindy. You make a very valid point. When you see, again, obviously, I'd never had the pleasure of meeting Marilyn in person, but when I see a lot of the photos and a lot of the coverage of her being interviewed, she always had a big, bright smile on her face. She always, spoke very eloquently and just really had a great demeanor. And you kind of felt like, you wanted to kind of huddle in close and be around and listen to what she was about to say. And, obviously she had great wisdom and great foresight. What I want to ask you, Debbie, and again, I know you have limited time that you were with her compared to her vast career, but from what you know of her and from what you've heard about her, was she a tough competitor out in the golf course? Was she somebody that was aggressive, that really hunted for the lead, or was she somebody that sort of waited back and kind of waited for that opportunity to sort of, come forward?
Well, Cindy, you might be able to help me with this because I don't think it was either. I think that there was a competitive streak when she was younger, because she was always an athlete and competitive and the tomboy. And God bless her parents for nurturing that in a girl in the 1940s when that was not cool. But for her, I think it was more about building a tour, and that in seeing it as a business, the records that she kept were it's so impressive and overwhelming. It's incredible on not only to the detail of what they ate and what they spent at various hotels and restaurants and on fuel and a variety of things, but even about the people and what type of person that person was. And competitively, she has index cards that we've uncovered that on every player during her time. Just amazing things just because they were building a business. They needed this to survive, especially when Babe passed. But I think that you hear stories about how she'd be chit-chatting with someone in the crowd, and the next thing you know, she'd actually walked all the way past her ball. So she was clearly not as focused on the sport, on the game. And I want to say it was about 5 years ago during a Pro-Am at Founders when we were driving around, and Suzanne Pedersen was speaking with us, and she hopped on the back of the cart in between holes, and she asked Marilyn what she missed most about the tour. And Marilyn, of course, being Marilyn, said, well, gosh, isn't that an interesting question? No one ever asked me that before. So she, of course, turns it around to make it about the other person rather than about herself. That's the selfless part, Ted, that you brought up. Mm-hmm. But she said what she missed most were the girls. She missed the girls.
Wow.
So I think, a lot of it was that camaraderie and that sense of they were making something happen and doing something, right? Making it bigger and better than themselves. But she did take pride in a lot of those wins.
Yeah, I think it's funny that you mentioned, her walking past her, her golf ball because she was engaged with the crowd, and it reminds me really a little bit of, and I'm not necessarily trying to draw the comparison, but really of Arnold Palmer, because he was very engaging with the crowds. That's why he was so beloved in the golf industry, is because of his personality, his engagement with the the people that followed and really adored him. I mean, a lot of people did. As they walked up, outside the ropes, as it were. Now, you mentioned, I know you talked a little bit about the scholarship fund. Now, again, just maybe sort of cover it briefly, and then I want you to talk about the tournament itself. What's going to happen tournament ways, of course, but just talk a little bit more about the scholarship fund.
Well, the scholarship fund, Marilyn established that in 1999. Again, with the vision of getting girls to college, because it was important in her mind that girls get an education. Thus far, we've been doing the last several years $35,000 scholarships, which is impressive. These are all going to incoming freshmen to get them there. Once they're there, they're kind of now the seed has been planted, and thus far, I think we've awarded $988,000. So in 2020, I think we're going to go over the $1 million mark, which is just such a lovely, lovely story. And the main source of funding for her scholarship fund over the years has been a Pro-Am that basically the proceeds go to the scholarship fund. In addition, Marilyn could talk your ear off and swindle $5 out of anybody to have donate to her scholarship fund. But she's not here anymore to keep swindling, so we have to channel our inner Marilyn and make that happen, right?
I love it. So when is the tournament? When does the tournament actually take place, and where is it going to be held?
So we have a lot of new things, a lot of firsts this year. The tournament in the past had been in Goodyear, Arizona, where Marilyn lived. And actually prior to that, I think it happened a few years in Texas when she lived in Dallas. But a couple of years ago, we made the decision to move the tournament to be part of Founders Cup because our tournament, number one, had been going on longer than Founders had been. And to me, without knowing that Marilyn was at nearing her, in her 90s, that she wasn't going to be around forever, people don't say no to Marilyn, and I don't have that same capability because I'm not Marilyn. So
right.
Moving it to Founders, to me, is, it's like a succession plan. It's the ability to have her scholarship fund go on into perpetuity as long as the Founders Cup is going on. So the part that we didn't plan on was Marilyn not being here for the first one, because this was our next move, and boy was she excited about it. It is on March 15th. It is the Sunday prior to the tournament, so it will tee off the week, and the tournament itself is in the afternoon at 1:30, where the shotgun start, played on the tournament course with all the signage and the volunteers and the whole deal. And in the morning from 10 until 12, we have what we endearingly call the Sunday tea. Now, in prior years, we had the Sunday tea on Sunday, obviously, and then the tournament was on Monday. And this year it's all combined. And the Sunday tea is really more of a meet and greet. This year it is actually a brunch. And Ron Cyrack, who is an amazing journalist and true gift and supporter of the LPGA, he will be here to interview some of the players, including Shirley Spork and Kathy Whitworth and Gloria Ehret, who is Marilyn's choice to be the participating honoree this year. And then we'll also have a few tour players, because this year the tournament will have a tour player in each foursome.
Wow.
So it's going to be, a lovely elevated event. So the Sunday tea will happen before golf. The players who are participating, as well as non-participants, people from the community, are welcome to attend as well. And then we'll move on over to the golf course, and I think Shirley's going to hit the commemorative. She and Gloria will hit the commemorative first shots for the week, and then off they'll go. We'll also have, and this is a really nice addition this year, Ted, the memorabilia components from both the World Golf Hall of Fame and various collections, including Marilyn's and Shirley's, will have items there along the lines of a museum, if you will, to continue to tell the story about the LPGA in a timeline. We will have, during the Pro-Am, we'll have images of significant pieces of memorabilia out on the course, along with LPGA, mostly teaching professionals who've been involved with the event in the past. They'll be historians to talk a little bit about what those items depicted are. So there will be a museum that's tied closely where the merchandise tent is, and then also inside the JW Marriott Desert Ridge Resort, so that the people who are actually there for business meetings, who aren't already drinking our Kool-Aid, they'll be able to have a vision and get some understanding about the fact that there's something special going on outside, and that has happened. So we're trying to grab in some new fans, if you will. But that museum component will continue now every year. So this is the tee off for that as well.
Very good. Well, I think she will, in her own way, one way or the other, will finagle a few dollars, if you will, for a great cause. I think that's fantastic, and what a great way to honor the legacy of Marilyn Smith. Cindy, go ahead.
So how do people, is the Pro-Am full? Are there professionals playing? Give us the inside scoop in case some of our listeners would like to participate. How can they help?
Well, they can help. First off, the tournament website is msmithproam.com, msmithproam.com, and there are portals there for if someone wants to volunteer, if they want to sponsor, if they want to play, if they want to go to the Sunday tea, if they want to make a donation. All of that is available right there. Some of the tour players that have committed, Sandra Gall, Stacy Lewis, Elena Sharp, Anna Nordqvist, Angela Stanford. No, I'm having a brain moment. I know we've got a couple rookies that have jumped in as well. The list keeps growing every day. We have, as Ted knows, we have a deadline on the commemorative program of February 11th for ads and content. So the rush is on now to get all the players because we have to put all their pictures into the program and whatnot. So we're getting close to having everybody identified.
Very
and
good.
is the amateur component full?
The amateur component is not full. We're nearly half full at this point, so there's still room, and we'd love to have people come and participate.
What's the cost to play in the Pro-Am for an amateur?
It's $2,500 a person or $10,000 a foursome.
Perfect. Awesome.
Very, very good. And we will relay that information again at the end of the show. Very quickly, Debbie, if you can hang tight, we're going to take just a brief opportunity for a message from Cindy, which she will queue up. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about your book a little bit more. You've just released a second edition. We'll talk about that and more when we come back. Cindy, go ahead and cue us up.
Well, this is the perfect timing and spot to do this as we're discussing how you can use the game of golf as a business tool. So have a listen.
Everyone knows business deals are made on the golf course. Knowing how to act is just as important as how you hit it. As an LPGA professional and corporate trainer, I offer workshops, seminars, and executive retreats to teach you how to do both. From the back nine to the boardroom, improve your team from the inside out, or Golf 101 for executives might be the perfect fit for your team. Maybe it's time to make some deals on the course. For more information, go to cindymillerinc.com.
All right, and make sure you do that. Go to cindymillerinc.com at the end of the show. Wait, because we got a little bit more here to go, and you can reach out to Cindy Miller there. For those of you maybe tuned in a little bit late, we are with our very special guest, Debbie Waitkus, who is the tournament director for the Marilyn Smith Scholarship Pro-Am, which is taking place next month. She was just telling us a little bit about that. But I thought we would shift states a little bit because we want to give you an opportunity to talk about your book, Get Your Golf On, which is now in its second edition and is, of course, available on Amazon. So tell us a little bit about that. Tell us first off, let's back it up for those that maybe aren't familiar with the book, what the purpose of the book is.
Well, the book is basically a guide for getting in the game. I am not an LPGA teaching professional like Cindy. I am a person who learned golf late in life and came out of the corporate world. I was dragged out onto the golf course, and I never thought golf was even a sport. So from the perspective of that new golfer and how to dip your toe in the water and taste some success and develop some relationships around the game and build your confidence and feel like you belong in the party, the book is basically a huge welcome mat. So it's all of those soft skills and how to handle yourself and what to be aware of so that the Cindys of the world can go ahead and teach you the actual skill set part as you to improve your game in that regard. But it was really designed to be a welcome mat to help build confidence and demystify the game so that you might want to actually try this. And it resulted out of a program that we ran for nearly 20 years called Nine and Wine Golf Mentoring, where we would pair up three, whether they were non-golfers, never-evers, or rusty golfers, or just golfers without confidence, with a mentor in each group. And as they played, obviously things happen, whether things reveal themselves about rules or etiquette. The mentors were not necessarily instructors, but rather just people who love to play golf and have the patience to help someone else along the way. And along the lines, things would happen, and they would take notes, and we'd come inside afterwards for food and beverage, and we'd go through the lessons learned. Each of the mentors would share a couple of things and celebrations, and we'd bundle all of those things up in a summary and send it out and say, actually, here's what we talked about. If you want to know more, you can come back, and here are other steps, next steps. And we ended up with a huge library of these lessons learned, if you will, and terminology that would trip up people. And basically put that all together and made the book, wrapped it with some stories and testimonials from people about why they love golf or hate golf and how they came to it. And the second edition actually includes some content from some instructors. For example, Sandy LeBeau included some content about when you want to buy new clubs or what a new set would consist of as far as from today's perspective versus the perspective 10, 20, 30 years ago. Shirley Spork provided content. Marilyn Smith wrote a foreword for the book, as did Pam Wright, and others. So we beefed it up with some business golf and some betting games and the new rules, and it became a little bit of a community piece, if you will, that, it would really be nice if you could include X, Y, and Z. Well, you'll find X, Y, and Z in there. And there's a fun glossary in the back of the book, which I think is pretty helpful. And it's a welcome mat. It's a welcome mat.
It's interesting, Debbie, really, when you talk about the book, excuse me, there's a lot of people, as you said, that are very new to golf, that maybe don't understand the game. And this is a great way of really giving them sort of a sneak peek at what's involved, not just in playing the game, but just some of the other areas like etiquette and things like that they maybe aren't familiar with. And I think there's a lot of people, as Cindy would attest to, that, again, are new to the game at all ages and really don't understand what's really behind the game. It's not just a matter about hitting the golf ball around the golf course. There's a lot more that goes into it. And I think this is a great way, as you said, an introduction to the game for a lot of people, either before, during, or a resurgence of their golf game when they're working with an instructor like Cindy. And Cindy, I know you've talk about this a lot as well with people, that you bring on the tee box, if you will, particularly from the corporate world, that want to get in and have found an opportunity to be more involved with their companies in golf tournaments and things like that. Why don't you talk about, Cindy, if you wouldn't mind, just a moment, some of the things that you believe are important for people just coming and starting in the game?
I think that it's imperative that you understand that no one really cares how you play. They care how you act. So I think most people are so apprehensive and fearful of looking silly and embarrassing themselves, when if you just know how to take a half swing and bunt it down the middle of the fairway, and you know where to walk and what to do and how not to step in somebody's line and not stand directly behind them when they're swinging, that you're going to have a great day. If you tell people, I'm brand new, I don't really know what I'm doing, so please help me out if I do something I'm not supposed to, the more humble you are, the better.
Yep.
And please don't act like you know more than you do, because you'll be identified. You're revealing an awful lot of things about yourself on the course. And again, Debbie and I both understand how important this is. I wrote a book called Golf 101 for Executives just to, make sure that you know what you should not do. And then no one cares how you play. They care how you act. Agree, Deb?
I totally agree. And in fact, if you don't mind, I have a little passage that Nancy Lopez provided in the book that I'd just like to read real quick, if that's okay.
Sure. You go ahead.
She says, of course, many people who play golf struggle with consistency because they aren't playing often enough, but they shouldn't be too hard on themselves. When you're playing twice a month or every 3 weeks, your goal should be to hit a good shot and then another good shot. When you do hit a good shot, be excited about it, happy about it, even if it's only one shot out of 10. Enjoy the effort and embrace that you hit a good one. It's proof that you can do it. And if you play more often, you'll do it more often and develop consistency. That's your goal. Hit one good shot, and you'll keep coming back to the golf course to hit more of them.
Right on.
Some great words from Nancy Lopez. I mentioned a while back, Cindy, you may recall this. I equate, what we see with a lot of amateurs as going to the airport, pulling their luggage, if you will. A lot of golfers bring baggage from, the last week they were out or last year when they were playing at their corporate event, and they're just, remember that, Cindy? And it's true. They're bringing all their baggage, and they're thinking about what happened, the last time they played, or like I said, at a previous event. And instead of focusing on shot by shot, you only have the moment, whatever moment you're in. And so what happened, earlier in the round, what happened yesterday if you played, or last week, is irrelevant. That score is gone. So let's focus on the moment. And I think really that's what Nancy's trying to say in her message as well. And what a some great words from another champion from the LPGA. Cindy, go ahead, and I know you probably have some more questions for Debbie.
What else can you tell us about the day? So what do people do? What's the format of the Pro-Am? Let's try to book this all up and fill the Pro-Am.
Oh, thank you. So first off, with the day, that we'll start with the Sunday tee, which will, as I had mentioned, will be at the property of the Marriott, and there'll be the meet and greet, there'll be the display of the memorabilia, and Ron Cyrack will go through a program of interviews. We'll have some food and beverage, clearly, and then we'll walk through an area which we're calling it the sponsor garden, where we'll have signage from all of the sponsors basically placed there from past years. So a little bit of a walk down memory lane for those who have been there before. They'll enjoy that, and those who haven't been there before are certainly going to be wowed. And we'll have the commemorative tee-off with Shirley and with Gloria Ehret. And then the event itself is a scramble format, and for amateurs along with an LPGA Tour player. And depending on how many players the LPGA Tour provides, we'll have either just one player with the group the entire time, or there'll be two players, 9 and 9, if you will, which is just an incredible experience for an amateur to have two LPGA Tour players. And we'll play again in the scramble format with the 5 players, and really a lovely treat. We have commemorative golf bags that were made for every player, Marilyn Smith bags, and those were done by Orca Golf out of Fort Lauderdale, and you may already know them. And the bags are going to be placed on the perch on the 18th green as the players come through, and the Tour Pro will go ahead and autograph each bag for the player, and then those will get switched out for the next group coming through. So we'll get the perch in play, which is the area that the pioneers and the founders sit at during Founders Cup week. When the players come through, they always meet and greet the tour players and the pioneers. They kind of all get together and have their love fest out there and their words of encouragement and appreciation. So we'll get the perch in play with these beautiful golf bags that each player is going to receive. And And then afterwards, we will have an awards ceremony that will probably wrap up relatively quickly because it's a long day, and we'll have some more food and beverage. We'll actually have the Marilyn Smith beverage out there, which is a lovely story unto itself, which was an outgrowth of the Dow tournament that happens in Michigan. A group of children from the Junior Achievement all competed to have some sort of a business idea tied in with the LPGA since that tournament was new. And the winning submission was a group that partnered up with a bottling company and came up with a beverage called the Marilyn Smith, which is a twist on the Arnold Palmer, but with pink lemonade. We actually have a tasting tomorrow for our local group here. We're so excited. And so we'll have that, and we're trying to figure out how well that goes with vodka. Are we allowed to talk about drinking this early in the morning?
You certainly can. You certainly can.
It's okay.
Marilyn loved her Stella beer, but this is not it's not a beer. So anyhow, we'll have a little bit of food and beverage afterwards, and celebrate, and we have some lovely gifts for the winning teams and whatnot, and then folks will be on their way, and we'll have started off the week of founders.
Very cool.
Well, that's
awesome. I think that's fantastic. And, I think it's always great to not just honor somebody like a Marilyn Smith, but to pay it forward. And I know that's what she's most excited about. It was not really about me, and what I've done and that. It's about how can I do something for the future generations. And obviously that's the purpose, as you pointed out, Debbie, for the scholarship fund, is to allow other young women to have the opportunities that she helped, and the other founders of the LPGA wanted to ensure that their legacy would continue on. And I think that she's done a great job. And you've been really a great spokesperson for Marilyn. When we met at the show here as well, which again, as with Cindy, I had never met you either, but you've been on the show a number of times, and you're always welcome back. It was it came across, very easily just how much you really appreciate who Marilyn was as a human being, and not just somebody that helped found the LPGA. So it was a very wise choice in her having you in that position, and I hope you will continue to do that. Just one more thing before we go, if you wouldn't mind, Debbie, just to remind everybody where they can go to get more information if they're interested in playing in the tournament, or if they're just interested in supporting it in some way. What's the best way for them to do that?
They can go to Smith Pro-Am, M as in Maryland, msmithproam.com. And there's also a Facebook page, so you can basically search for Marilyn Smith Pro-Am, and that will come up as well. And if you want to share that with others, that would just be fabulous. And I'll send that to you, Ted, and to Cindy, so that you can share that out to your networks as well, so that we can get some chatter going on that. And a quick tie-in with the book, a portion of the proceeds goes to her scholarship fund as well with the book. So it's a little love fest. Golf is good.
Yes, it certainly
sure
is. So on that note, for you listening to the show, and we will make a point of reaching out and letting the folks know that, go to Amazon.com and search for Get Your Golf On, which is Debbie's book, second edition out now. By all means, get a copy not only for yourself, but get a copy for a friend or several friends. It's not only a great book. I have a copy and I have read it. I had also read the first edition as well, but I've read the second edition now too. And it's certainly, as she pointed out, some of the proceeds are going to help the Marilyn Smith Scholarship Foundation. So it's a very worthwhile cause. So we hope that you will get out there and support it. Debbie, we want to thank you very much for joining and I this morning on our first show here on our 7th season of the Women of Golf. You're always welcome to come back and share some great stories, not only about Marilyn, but also just some great golf stories as well. We appreciate all that you do.
Oh, Ted and Cindy, thank you so much. I so appreciate you not only having me on, but wanting to keep Marilyn's legacy moving forward and sharing her good work.
Absolutely.
Well, we're glad to help. Debbie, have a great, successful tournament. Much continued success. Good luck on round 2, if you will, of Get Your Golf On. Don't forget, folks, go to Amazon.com. You can find it there. And anytime you need our help, Debbie, don't hesitate to reach out, okay?
Thanks so much, Ted. And Cindy, thank you again
You're
and again.
welcome, honey. Have a great day.
All right. Thanks, Debbie. All right. That was our very special guest, Debbie Waitkus, the tournament director for the upcoming Marilyn Smith Scholarship Pro-Am, which is taking place alongside the Founders Cup, which will be, I believe she said, March 15th. Things will be kicking off. So you want to check that out. And as I said, the website is msmithproam.com. You can get all sorts of information if you're interested in participating in the tournament, or if you're just interested in supporting it in some way, you can do that. And again, go to Amazon.com and you can check out the second edition of Debbie's book, Get Your Golf On. And you can also find on, which we didn't get to mention too much, but she was also contributing author for the EWGA Foundation book, Teeing Up for Success, which is also available at Amazon.com. Cindy, I thought we would just take a few more minutes. I know we're getting close to wrapping up here, but as we mentioned, we were both down at the PGA merchandising show here just a couple of weeks ago. Just interesting, as I'm sure you were, I know you were very busy with a lot of meetings, and I had a number of appointments myself the week that I was there, but I did get a chance to look around a little bit. Was there anything that caught your eye? Did you get a chance to walk the floor much? And if so, was there anything that stood out?
I did not. I did walk the floor, and you know what? Not really. I what I did purchase was, I hate to say that, but I don't look at lots of clubs. I look for new training aids and teaching aids. Mm-hmm. I look at the clothes, of course, and the shoes. I did see some shoes I want. I went to San Soleil. I went to Canona. And then I purchased Operation 36 for our academy. And I'm really excited about that. Operation 36 is what is it? Well, it's really like an online platform, and it gives you curriculum to teach anyone, any age, to start and learn how to score and play golf. So I'm very excited. We've got an onboarding call tomorrow. What they believe is everyone should start at 25 yards away from the hole, and your mission is to shoot 36. And then once you do that, you move up to 50 yards away, and then 100 yards, and then 150, and then 200 yards. And the mission is to shoot 36. So they have an online platform for all your students, and they keep score, and there's a leaderboard, and it's all kinds of fun stuff. So we're going to use it with the kids, little kids and big kids alike. How about you?
Well, I saw lots of interesting things as well. And before I'll mention that, and then we'll mention one other thing that I want you to let the folks know about, something that you do every year. We've talked about many times on the show. I didn't really look at a lot of the equipment either, as far as the clubs and stuff. I mean, it's yada, yada, yada. It's kind of, I hate to say this, but it's kind of the same, new big drivers and, some different irons. And it's always interesting. But as I've always said, the equipment is not what makes the golfer. It certainly assists the golfer, but I want them to understand and learn how to play the game first before they go out and spend money on all this the fancy equipment. I noticed a lot of golf simulators this year. Again, in fact, there were scads of them, if you will. I did walk around a little bit and see a lot of great clothing. I stopped by. We've had her as a guest, and I reached out to her. She's going to come back on this season. We haven't nailed the date down yet, but Susan Hess, the founder of Golftini, who's been on the show, she's very, very excited. This was really interesting. I didn't get a chance to talk to her much at the show because, she was literally so busy every time I went there. But this was her. She did an announcement on social media that this was her 15th year at the PGA show. So she is obviously somebody that has benefited greatly from the exposure. And of course, she was pretty much in the center of. It's a big hall for those of you that have never been, and she's always got a very interesting and fresh line. And when she comes back on, I'm going to see if she started working on a men's line yet, because Lord only knows we need some help out there too. There were a few booths that had some men's line there that I don't think I would want to wear, and I'm not going to name names. Cindy, you know what I'm talking about. But I'd like to see that happen a little bit more for the men. But a lot of great things, a lot of very interesting gadgets. Something, I don't know if you noticed this or not, and I didn't realize there were as many there. But the hot craze or trend in everything, not just golf, is this CBD oil and different products that are supposed to be yeah. There, I talked to somebody that was there, and there were 19 exhibitors representing some form of product in that category. And what was really interesting, they were all either creams or lotions or potions or what have you that help with aches and pains. So yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna. Oh, I mean. Hopefully they're not listening to the show, but I mean, literally, it was a veritable hocus pocus. I mean, I don't mean to make light of it, but I'm still, on the fence, and it's been in the media a lot, obviously over the last couple of years about some of the benefits of CBD products, and I've never obviously used any of them, but they swear by it. A lot of the people there, so it's interesting. But it was kind of I was surprised when I walked into the hall the first day of the show, and I saw this big sign because I just happened to go in that entrance, and just shortly in, I just saw CBD, and I thought, well, okay, maybe this is a golf company or something like that. And as I got a little bit closer and realized what it was, and as I said, I believe somebody had told me there was approximately 19 exhibitors. So obviously, I think there's something to it. I don't know what it is, but it bears a little bit of closer examination, if you will. So we'll see. But it's supposed to be, as I said, from what some of them, I talked to a few of them, some of the ointments and the creams and stuff like that are supposed to help for people that have issues with their joints and muscles and things like that. So I don't know if it works or not, but it was kind of interesting. So that was something I noticed. And I think also too, and she is going to be a guest on the show coming up in a couple of weeks. Gianna Rojas was there. She's referred to as the one-handed lady golfer. She's been on the show before. Of course, she was born with a disability, and she's been really working the golf industry, if you will, to try and bring attention to many of the folks. And she was on, Cindy, you may recall, a couple of years back, and she raised some very interesting stats that she had gotten from Clemson University in South Carolina. And that was there are approximately 10 plus million people in the United States that have some sort of physical disability that are really not being pursued, if you will, and understandably, so from the golf industry as far as getting them interested in the game and getting to play. And I think it's really the industry didn't know up until now really how to approach it, because obviously some people have some severe disabilities. So she's out there as a spokesperson, and she's doing a great job. And she's going to come back on in a couple of weeks, Cindy, and talk about that, some of the strides that she's made and some of the new partnerships that she's making in the golf industry to really help bring, because that's a whole different demographic, both men and women. And she's spoken to many of them out there. And there is a strong interest in people wanting to participate in this game. They just don't know how to start. So she's helping them do that. So we're going to talk about that. So that was another thing that I saw while I was there. I spoke to her, and we've got her coming on in a couple of weeks on our show. So I'm very excited about that. I think really what really impressed me the most about the show this year, because I hadn't been, as you know, in a few years, was the diversity. There was a big diversity in different types of industries even more so than I think I've seen in past years. What did you think about that?
What do you mean?
Well, it was just, the CBD oil was one. I mean, I never expected to see that.
Well,
but it was just,
so here's the catch. So let me just back up, because the LPGA Legends Tour has got a partnership with a company called Harmony Hemp, which is a CBD oil.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
for those, and I'm going to help represent them. So they sent me the stuff, and I've got arthritis in my fingers, right? And I had a shoulder issue, and I got to tell you, the stuff makes it easier to swing. So since the LPGA Legends Tour is partnering with them, because my son was like, well, make sure this is safe,
Right.
And it is, or you wouldn't be eligible to play, you'd get DQ'd. Anyway, so I'm going to do that. They were not at the show, but yes, they were everywhere. As far as diversity, I think the big thing with all companies right now, and I didn't really see it at the show, but diversity and inclusion is a huge, big deal. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's, and I think it's like anything. The golf industry, of course, is not immune to it. All industries have felt this. I think that they're trying to find ways of I think that the message has always been everybody is included and should be, but I think sometimes the delivery mechanism sometimes has not always been the best, and I think that the golf industry is trying to lead that charge, if you will. I know many people have spoken about it. I talked to people at the show. There are a lot of very interesting things that I saw at the show, and obviously people that watch the Golf Channel got to see quite a bit of it, so I don't need to go through it all, but there was some interesting things for sure, and I, of course, will be back there next season to do some more things. But it was an interesting show, so I'm looking forward. One last thing before we go, Cindy. I know you got some boot camps coming up. Why don't you share a little of the details of that, when they are, and if there's still some room available?
We only have room in the April boot camp, which is April 15th to the 19th at Orange County National Golf Club in Orlando, Florida. So if you are interested in boot camp, send me an email, cindy@cindymillerinc.com. And also, if anyone out there is interested in free golf tips, go to cindymillerinc.com/improve and sign up to get all my free golf tips. It doesn't cost anything.
Very good. That's right. That's one of the very few things in life that is free, and it's well worth it. I can guarantee you that. Cindy, it's been a lot of fun starting off our seventh season here. I look forward to many of the guests coming on, and we're going to be gearing up here very shortly as the Symetra Tour season starts up in March. I think it's around the 8th, 6th to 8th, I think is the first tournament of the season, which is going to be held down in Florida. So we'll be looking forward to having some of the young ladies again coming on the show as they win the tournament, and there'll be a few that may not win, but have some interesting stories to share. So we're going to bring that to you here on the Women of Golf. We hope you'll continue to tune in each and every week with Cindy and I. We look forward to hosting you here and having some great guests. So on behalf of Cindy Miller, I'm Ted Odorico. Thank you. God bless everybody for tuning in and for supporting us. And here's some great ways that you can tune in to the show. Thanks, Cindy.
Thanks, Ted. Have a
Thanks for listening this morning to the Women of Golf Show. Tune in live each week by visiting blogtalkradio.com/Women of Golf or on any of these social media platforms: iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn, Castbox, TalkStream Live, and of course Spotify. If you can't join us live, check out our on-demand section for previously aired broadcasts. To get updates for future shows and upcoming guests, you can follow us on Facebook at Women of Golf. You can also follow me on Twitter at TedandBuckCEO and Cindy at Cindy Miller Golf. Please remember to join us next week on the Women of Golf Show. See you next time. This has been a production of the iGolf Sports Network.